Hello and welcome to Underlords Universe. And this is a place where we get together and discuss stuff that we like, specifically in the area of music and sometimes television and movies, but a lot of music because we do a lot of music ourselves as what we call Underlords of the Overworld. More on that at the very end. But if you've noticed our shirts today, if you're one of our subscribers and you're tuning in, or if you're new to us, we're wearing ghost shirts today. Oh, hang on. Oh, get that light there. Because there's a new Ghost album out, Skeleta, and came out, what is it, 2 weeks ago this thing came out?
April 25th.
Something, yeah,
So,
something like, yeah, okay, that sounds about right. And you and I haven't exchanged a single word about this, have you? Have we?
we have not.
And so we're just gonna do kind of a, yeah, I mean, I don't know how brief, but a discussion on our reactions to this album and kind of review it for anybody who's interested in our thoughts on it. So if you are new to our channel, please like and subscribe. If you're a Ghost fan, or if you're new to Ghost, put some comments down below. I'm interested in seeing what people think about this. I'm interested to seeing what Brent has to say about this. So I don't know, Brent, do you want to? I mean, we both kind of got into Ghost really early on. I mean, Opus Eponymous was the album that was out when we got into Ghost. And,
Mhm.
so we've been with them since the first album. We've seen them on every tour multiple times from
Mhm.
the Infestissimum tour, or the tours for that album, for the second album, all the way up until I didn't see anything on the Impera tour, but from everything
Right.
I saw, I don't know, like what, 12, 13 times, something like that. So
Yeah.
we went deep into Ghost. Fair to say?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've seen them in small venues. And I remember at the time we were thinking, I mean, how big can these guys really be? You
Yeah.
know, what they're singing about and their production. I mean, are they really going to be able to are they going to be a big band? Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
It
yeah.
makes the club we saw them in pretty cool, you know?
Yeah. We saw them in Mill City Nights in Minneapolis, small club. We saw them in a small theater in Milwaukee. Josh
That
and
was so, that was so cool.
that was awesome. That we saw them, Josh and I saw them with his brother Joel at a
Hmm.
bar, the Double Door, which is just a bar in Chicago. And so it's like, because I remember thinking at the time, it's like, well, who knows how long these guys are going to be around? I mean, how big could they get with this? I mean, the shtick is cool, but it's pretty, I was like, and here they are, like selling out arenas. It's
Yeah.
just kind of incredible on that in that in that regard. So anyway, the new album, Skeleta. What are your first impressions? What do you think? I mean, I'm curious.
Okay, so first impressions. It sounds great. All Ghost records sound great. The production
Okay.
is thick and lush, and the vocals are great. Tobias sounds phenomenal. In listening to Ghost, and we've had some friends listen to Ghost, and his voice is not for everybody. I happen to like his voice quite a bit. I think it works really well in the context of what Ghost does.
I do too. I
Um,
agree.
yeah, the album sounds phenomenal. I think like the first track that I heard was Satanized. When the video came out, I tried not to listen to too much of the record before I actually bought it. But
Hmm.
when I saw the video for Satanized the first time, I was like, okay, it's okay. That was what I thought about it. I also heard Peacefield before the record dropped. Um, am I pronouncing it right? Lacrima,
Hmm.
Lacrima. Heard those tracks because they were advanced singles. I think Peaceful was an advanced single. Maybe not. But
Yeah, Peacefield was the third single, and it came out like the day before the album dropped.
okay. So the second song that came out, Lacrima, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, I thought that was better than Satan Eyes. I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. But I wasn't blown away with what I heard. Now when I got the record and listened to Peacefield, Lacrima, and Satan Eyes back to back to back, what a way to start a record. That really reeled me in. And you and I have talked about really good starts to record, a good, one, two, three punch right out of the chute. And I think this album really offers that. These three songs are really good. I'm going to go so far as to say that Satanized right now is in competition as my for song of the year for me. It's got
Really?
hook. No, yeah, it's got hooks. It's got melody. It's got a killer guitar solo. It's got a great video. These guys know how to write. I mean, let's face it. You can disagree if you want. I think you're probably going to agree. These guys are more of a pop rock band now than they were 10, 15 years ago.
Um,
They're very poppy. They're very melodic. They're not really a metal band. I don't know if they really ever were, but there's a lot of ear candy and earworms on these records, and the songs that I particularly like have a lot of hooks. They have a lot of really good riffs. They got really good melodies. Again, with Satanized, really good guitar solo, and they're very accessible. Going back to what we talked about at the beginning of the episode, when we first got into Ghost, the first album, lyric wise, it was a little bit more hardcore, a little more overtly satanic. The image was not as polished as it is today. And like you said, how big can these guys really get with this? Well, they've kind of refined things as they've gone along, and I think the songs have become a little more accessible. This album, and it continues that trend. I would say that overall, there's nothing as high or as good on this album as there is on Impera. Like, I think that Kaisarian and Watcher in the Sky are two songs that are better than anything off this record. But there's nothing on this record that's as bad, in my view, as 20s, which is really the one Ghost song I really don't care for that much. So I think this record is very consistent. My favorite tracks are Satanized, Peace Field, Lacrima, Cenotaph or Cenotaph, which I think is phenomenal. Pay attention to the lyrics on that particular song. I'm not really a lyric guy. I'm more of a melody guy. The lyrics on that song are extremely powerful. And then I really, really like Umbra. I think Umbra is a very adventurous piece there's a
mhm.
lot going on with Umbra.
So, okay.
Um,
So,
those are the high points on the record for me. I'm just going to say there's really no low points, Brian, other than I'll say Guiding Lights is kind of, it's okay. It's kind of a mess song for me.
mhm.
And I will say that Excelsis, it's kind of a limp way to end the record. I think the record should be a little bit more climactic in how it ends, and it kind of ends with a whimper. So if I have a complaint, that's really one of the complaints that I would have. But
Mhm.
overall, I think it's extremely strong in the production. The songs are there, the quality is there, the playing is there. He's brought in a lot of extra people to help on this record, like Frederick from Opeth plays guitar on the record. There's a lot of help with backing vocals and other things that are going on. People that are playing on the record, drums and keyboards and whatnot. So it's a big production. It really shows, and I think it's a very consistent, good album. If I had to give it a grade, just off the top of my head, on probably look at 3.5 or 4 stars. I think it's a solid effort.
Okay.
Really
So
good.
you said some things that I agree with and some things that I don't quite agree with.
Okay.
Um, so, in terms of like the band as, historically, um, I think they've always been just a pop oriented rock band. I think when the first album came out, you could categorize them as metal in the sense that they really sounded like old school, like early 70s metal.
Yeah.
Um, but Infestissimum, when that album came out, the second album, I mean, there's a lot of light poppy stuff on that album.
Surfer music on that album.
Yeah. So, and then, the third album, Meliora, is, that's a thicker, hairier, heavier album. It's riffier, but
Art.
it's still melodic to, I mean, just melodic hooks left and right. I do think that Skeleta is a continuation of Impera. Um, but I don't think it's as sonically, you're talking about the production on it. To my ear, it's less mid-rangey, which means to my ear it's less girthy sounding. I don't think the guitars are quite as upfront. Um, I think that the use of some of the keyboards on the album are not keyboard choices that I would have made. I think that he's going for a very 80s uh pop rock, 80s pop rock slash pop metal approach. Almost Bon Jovi-ish, maybe in a certain respect. And some of those flavorings in there I don't like. But that doesn't mean that they're bad songs. So
Right.
my first impression when Satanized came out, Susan calls it sanitized.
Yeah.
Um, my response was meh. Yeah, okay, it's a song. It was just there. I didn't really care for it. And then when Lacrima, I think it's pronounced Lacrima. It's a Latin word, and I don't speak Latin, so the word means tears in Latin. But um, I thought that was much better as a
Mhm.
song. I liked that quite a bit. And then when Peacefield hit, of course, like everybody, I thought, well, it's like Separate Ways, the chorus, from Journey. Um, but as soon as that album, or excuse me, as soon as Peacefield came out as a single, the album was right there. So I listened to that album, I listened to the album after it came out, and it's like, okay, I know these first three songs now. What comes next? And I listened to the entire rest of that album on the day it came out, and I just remember my initial reaction was, eh, I'm not in any hurry to pick up the physical copy of this. That was my initial reaction. Obviously, I did because I've got it right here, folks.
Right.
Um, because Target had two copies of it available, and I was at Target that afternoon. So, but that was honestly my first comment. I didn't text you on this, but I did text Josh, and I said I was like, meh, eh.
That was his initial reaction with me too.
And I haven't talked with him since then.
I have one comment of his I'll share with you while we're doing the show, but I'll do
Um,
that.
yeah, okay, but that's fine. So, but as you know, sometimes when you put songs into the context of an album, they start to feel different. And, because we tend to be album oriented people. We listen to a full album and we tend to, some albums grow on you, some albums don't. Um,
Right.
Over time, some albums actually kind of lose their luster and don't age as well. I will say that this album, the songs on this album have grown on me, and I actually like it quite a bit. I find myself keep going back and listening to it, and it's like, huh, I think I like this more than I initially thought.
Hmm.
The hard thing, though, with this is putting it in the context of Ghost's entire catalog, because for me, the first four Ghost albums are basically perfect records. And then Impera, I think, has a couple of lower points, but Impera has some elements that are just on par with anything else that they'd ever done. So it's really hard to keep that kind of track record up. So at any
Yeah.
rate, the songs I think are really, really good. There are some songs I like better than others. I'll talk about those here in just a second. But as far as the production, to me, the drums sound almost like the snare is sampled, almost like the hi-hat is it's like I don't know if there's like too much compression on it or what, but it's just
I was thinking I had some similar thoughts.
well, okay. I mean that's fine. But and it's strange too, because it's like, well, depending on what I'm listening it, if I'm listening to it on like my little ear things at the gym, that's one thing. If I'm listening to it in my car, it's another, and the stereo at home, it's a different thing. And with all these different ways we listen to music now, I think it's really difficult from a mixing and mastering standpoint to get it so that it's absolutely perfect on every kind of system that you're going to listen to it on. But um, now, just an example of a song that where I think the keyboard choices kind of bug me. It's Umbra, and don't get me wrong, I think Umbra is one of the best songs on the record, but I think the intro keys are really pretty cool. They're kind of reminiscent of like 80s horror. films. Uh,
Mhm.
but then in the bulk of the song, you get these cheese keys, these cheese boards. Um, this really these high note, these little plinky stabs of keyboards in that chorus on Umbra. It's like, are you, come on. It's like that should have been Hammond organ. The guitar should have been lifted in that. The chorus of Umbra should just, but it doesn't. It's just blink, blink, blink. It's like, what the hell is that? It just it bugs me. And the reason it bugs me so much is because I actually think the song is great. And it's like, oh man. Now they rescue it a little bit with that really cool breakdown in the middle where they do bring in organ and there's that guitar solo organ kind of battle going on in the middle of Umbra. So,
So cool. That
I
section,
say what?
that section of the song is so cool.
Oh, it's great. That's like a five-star section of the song, and it's like, and that's why that and the fact that the song as written, I think, is great. It's just some of those keyboard choices just really bug me. I was texting Travis about that, and he's like, no, he goes cheese boards are just what the doctor ordered. That's exactly what he said. I just disagree with him on that. But obviously, Tobias Forge disagrees. But you know what? It's like I like the song. I think it could have sounded a little better, could have been done a little differently in that regard, but I still like the song. Um, I'm going to go back and listen to Cenotaph again, and I'll pay more attention to the lyrics, like you said. To me, that's a lower track on the record, but I'll give it, another listen, looking at the lyrics. Um, I think that De Profundis Borealis, from the depths of the Northern Sea, I think that's a high point on the record as well. Um, the only other thing that really kind of bugs me is on Marks of the Evil One. When he in the chorus he's saying there, and to
Yeah.
my ear it sounds like he's saying dare rather than there, and that bugs me a little bit. Again, I think there's some cheesy 80s keys in Marks of the Evil One that I would have preferred, different keyboard voicings on that. Um, you mentioned Excelsis being a song that kind of ends the album on a kind of a whimper.
Yeah.
That was exactly my thought originally when I listened to it too. Especially since I mean he's got such fantastic album closers. I mean every album ends just so perfectly. But it's weird. The more I've listened to Excelsis, the more I like it. And my initial, because I went ahead and graded this one I think I listened to it maybe three times, and then I kind of went through and graded them. And my initial grade on Excelsis was just 2.5. It was like, it's there.
Mhm.
2.5 out of 5. It's just there. But looking back on it now, I would rate it higher. That's the point of, albums and songs grow on you sometimes. And I do also want to mention Satanized. When I first heard that, like I said, like, I think you said the same thing. It was just, eh. But that song gets stuck in my head, and it doesn't bother me.
I know.
Some songs when they get stuck in your head, you're like, oh my gosh, like,
Yes.
what do I need to do to get that, out of my mind? But it bothers me not at all that Satanize gets stuck in my head. And I like it a lot more than I did originally. So the album's growing on me. When I first listened to it, I thought, it'll end up being maybe middle of the pack at the end of the year. Uh, it 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 might rise near the top. We'll see. There's some strong contenders this year. You know, there's some other good albums already out. Like gosh, the Steven Wilson album, that's just great. Flower Kings just came out this weekend. I mean,
Really.
A through Z comes out in June. You know, but yeah, I'm liking this record. So there you go.
There's one thing I didn't mention that I wanted to see what you think.
Yeah.
This kind of gets into the one comment that Josh made, which I'm going to throw out there
Yeah,
since
yeah.
since
Yeah, because he and I we haven't talked about it. So
um when I first heard Lacrima, the riff took me back to Meliora. And I'm like, this is a riff that could have been on Meliora.
Hmm. Okay. That's an
So
interesting point. Did he say that or did you say that?
I say that. And what he said to me was, and he said this was either today or yesterday, he said, um, this is their best record since Meliora.
He said that?
So as of right now, that's his opinion on Skeleta is it's the best record they've done since Meliora.
Well, here's what I'll say to that. And I would only say this because it's Josh saying that. And, unfortunately, he's not tuned in and joining us with this. But Josh, you're going to watch this and you're going to hear it. And I'll say it to you in person. You have a right to your opinion, but you're wrong.
Ooh.
There you go. Mm. There, I
And
said it. I said it.
we will say that because we'll be talking about the Ghost catalog at some point, but
Yeah.
we all agree that Meliora is a high point in the catalog. And for him to say that is high praise for Skeleta.
Yeah, I'm on a genuine. I mean, I'm only saying that just to egg him on, But and I'll shoot him a text here when we're done. But it's interesting. I'll be interested to see what he has to say about it. Travis, for example, he kind of really soured on Ghost. He did not like Impera that much, etc. And he texted me the other day and he said he goes, I got to admit it because I'm really liking this record. So um, yeah.
Oh, here's a question. Here's a question then for you. So, and I don't really know what the answer is, 'cause I just thought of this question right now.
Hmm?
Impera was what, 3 years ago, 2022, thereabouts?
Yep.
So, is there a lot of difference between Impera and Skeleta? And if so, what are the differences?
Well, I think
What sticks out to you?
to me, the thing that sticks out to me, number one, well, okay, a few things. Number one, this album is st from start to finish, song, 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 song. You don't get any of these like, oh, let's do like a 30-second like music, like guitar intro and call it a separate track. Um, off the top of my head, I can't even remember what it's called on that album. You know, there's no instrumentals, and I love instrumentals. Don't get me wrong, I love instrumentals, but Prequel has two really good instrumentals, but
Mhm.
you could pull those out of the record and still have a cohesive album. Um, and I think Tobias Forge even might have said this in an interview where he really went in and wanted the album to be song by song by song, not instrumentals, not segue pieces. He wanted a solid set of 10 songs or whatever it is. So I think that's a difference, but I think a similarity is the kind of the steering the sound of the band more towards a pop. Again, that's always been there, but I think it's more of an 80s pop feel rather than something that's a little bit more 70s inspired. But um, and I think another difference, and I mentioned it before, is I think that Impera, I think it just sounds a little more rock, a little more. I think the guitars are beefier. There's more of a mid-range. Uh,
Bigger sound Impera than like just an overall bigger sound, would you say?
yeah, to me the guitars sound almost a little. I the guitars, it's funny on Skeleta. I really like the guitar tones on it, but they're I like them because they're interesting. I don't necessarily like them because they're big. To me, they don't sound big, but everybody hears things differently. So somebody else out there might. I mean, you might even disagree. You might be like, "Gosh, I don't know why you're saying that," but it's just the way my ears are hearing it. I don't know. You?
No, no. Those are really interesting points, and we hear things differently. I think the guitars on this record are thick.
Hmm.
I've only listened to the record through a few times, like you. I need to listen to it more, and I'm getting more into it with every listen. To your point, things grow on you. Like when Satan Eyes came out and I first heard it, my reaction was, "It's okay." I've gone from "It's okay" to the other day when I was at work. I'm not kidding. I had the chorus to that song in my head all day long.
Hmm.
It didn't bother
Yeah. Which, there you go. That's a good thing. So,
me. It didn't bother me.
yeah. All right. So, anyway, if you've stuck with us, thanks. Like I said at the beginning, this is a review discussion. We're not just here to say, hey, we like it, we don't like it. I mean, we kind of get into this, because we're music nerds. So, if you're a Ghost fan, if you have thoughts on the record, uh, I was pretty down on it, honestly, when it first came out. It was like, meh, okay, there it is. But it's grown on me fast. So, uh, I don't think it's perfect. I think putting it up against all the other Ghost albums will be really interesting because I think most of the other Ghost albums are pretty darn well near perfect records. But yeah, if you got other thoughts, comments, put them down below. Any other thoughts on Ghost, Brent, before I just do a quick plug for our own stuff?
Well, sir, I think we covered everything.
Yeah. All right. So, uh, yeah, at the very beginning, Brent and I, along with some of our other friends and associates, we write and record music. We do creative things, and we're not out to make money doing it. We're never going to make money doing it. We lose money doing it. But we go under the name Underlords of the Overworld, which is just kind of a self-deprecating way of saying we are legends in our own mind and in nobody else's. We are lords of our own domain. And we're on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever, Bandcamp, we do have them in CD format, which will at some point here be on Bandcamp for order as well. Our bass player wrote, he writes stories, and he wrote a series of novels about an alternate universe kind of history of the band, which is hilarious and ridiculous and bizarre. And it's called the first volume is called Origins of the Damned, and he did a spin-off series about a group of occult kind of oriented oddballs, and it's called the OAO, Ordo Abstrusis Oculus. And his work, he writes fiction under the name H. Prescott Lemon. You can find his books on Amazon.com. And yeah, that's just kind of what we do. Like we did a song called the Ordo Abstrusis Oculus with vocals by Blaze Bailey from Iron Maiden. So that's out there on Spotify. You can find it on Bandcamp. Did a couple songs we had Derek Sherinian do keyboards on a couple songs. So Waiter, There's a Demon in My Soup is one of them. Good track. I like it.
And those songs are
So
on the other bonus tracks on our new
on
CD.
the CD, yeah, right. So
On
um,
the,
yeah, if you're interested in supporting local or independent artists, that's a way to do it. And if not, that's fine too. If all you want to do is just give us your thoughts on the new Ghost record, that's cool. Whatever trips your trigger. So I don't know, Brent, you got anything else to say?
no, we'll just put a wrap on this one and good conversation. And like I said, we'll be doing a review of the Ghost catalog. I think probably sometime in the near future, wouldn't you say?
I think so. I think we need to get in and really just rank the entire Ghost catalog. Yeah. Okay. All right. Please like, subscribe, blah, 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 as Alex Lifeson would say. And have a good day or night or afternoon.